with the fireplace. Normally, you know, if you can when you leave, let's try to keep the remote in the same place. So let's put it back over here, because if this sucker disappears, it would be really hard to replace. You can see that little blue flame back there, and that's the pilot light. So if you look down in there, and you can see how it's really not that visible. Even when I'm looking like this, now you can see it in the back. So if it's on, that means you're good to go with the remote. If it's not, you need to look at the video on how to light the pilot light. The way that this works is, we're going to get over here in the light. Currently, this remote, so when we're using the remote for the gas stove in the living room, what you're going to find is that it should be in the off position. There shouldn't be anything lit up on the screen except that number right there at the top, and that's the indoor temperature. There's a couple of different ways to light this stove, and I'm going to try to show you this. The first is, currently our stove is off. So you would just push the button, and you can see the flames on the side when you did that. The little flame popped up, and in between the time I did that, it's lit up. Now, you need to be pointing it at least in the general direction, because there's a little receiver underneath that, and you're good to go. And that's basically one setting. With the remote, there's things that you can do. What I generally tend to do is just turn it on, let it get heated up, and you can see this little bitty indicator over there on the side, and it just doesn't show much. Now what you can do is, there's an auto button. See how it says auto flame right there? This works much like a thermostat on the wall. So you could do auto flame, and you can see that right there we had a little number pop up below it. And what that's going to do is, the top number is the temperature inside, and the bottom number is the temperature you have it set at. So it's essentially like a thermostat. The unit will run until it reaches the desired temperature, and then it will cut off. And so if you're in this mode and you go, hey, you know, I want it to cut off, then what you would do is you would just push down, and you'll see the temperature goes down. And right, you know, let's say I set it at 68. Currently we're on, and the fireplace is lit, but what you see is it just cut off. So that's what it's going to do, and the pilot light's going to be lit. And then once it drops down to 68 degrees inside, it's going to cut back on. So to turn it back on, you just adjust it above the current temperature. It's going to take a second. We just set it to 76. It's going to hang out for a minute, and then it's going to poof, light up. I would say to be careful with this setting. You know, it's gas. It's about as safe as one can get, but it's still fire. I know it's behind a piece of glass, but it's legitimately a fire. So I wouldn't use this I wouldn't let this burn all night. It's just, you know, it's meant to burn a lot, but I wouldn't let this burn all night. I would make sure that when you leave for the day that, you know, look at the remote, and if you've got it set in that setting where both of these numbers are popped up, you need to really get it down there and lower it. Now, to turn it off, you can see these little things on the side. You would hit auto flame again, and you see what that did is that turned everything off, and then this cut off. So that's really about the only true off position, is that if you hit auto flame and you see that there's no other numbers on this screen, that's like off, that truly off. About the only way you can turn this thing off is to do that. So if we want to turn it back on, what we're going to do is we're going to hit on, and it just makes this like boom, you know, it's basically saying, hey, fire up, and you can see that it's on. Now, another feature that you can do is the fan button. It basically means what it says. Right now it's burning, it's putting out heat. You know, after 10-15 minutes it's really going to put off heat. But let's say that you're cold and you're like, you know what, I've been freezing, let me hop down, let's get this thing blazing. So you can hit fan, and you can see it over there on the side, that what that does is there's a fan, and that's one of the blades lit up, and you can hear this thing now. And what it's doing, it's just going to blow the hot air out of there. So if you want to adjust the fan setting, you hit fan again, and now you hear it crank up. Just a second. So you hear it fire up, and you know it's going to blow cool air until it really heats up. It looks like a normal fireplace, but it'll really heat this house. But do be careful that you are turning it off. So remember, right now we got the fan on. Let's say, hey, you know, we want to turn the fan off. but we still want the fire to be on. You hit it so that now the fan is showing all 3 empty blades, and you'll notice that the fan's now off. Remember to turn this thing off. Even though the number is up there, this little flame on the side means it's on. So to turn it off, you would just hit that, and it's got these 3 little bars, and sometimes you may get stuck in a mode like I just did, and you keep tapping it until it drops those 3 bars down. It looks much like a little cell phone bar, and it'll cut off. And that is that. Sorry for the lengthy demo, but it definitely will save you some frustration from having to just push a bunch of random buttons. Thanks for watching.